So welcome back to our British-Ukrainian IT event. I've been asked to say a few words about the BUCC just to introduce the second section. So as most of you should know, the British-Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce is in its 23rd year. We have organized the principal events for promotion of British-Ukrainian business in the past. That is the Bucc Economic Forum and Ukrainian Week in London several years ago, which included British-Ukrainian IT Day. We have always made IT one of our focuses, which is natural. London is now the third leading center in the world for software development after Silicon Valley and New York. And Ukraine is the principal country cooperating with UK IT, as I'm sure all of you know, having replaced India several years ago. There are plenty of excellent examples of success, international cooperation with Ukrainian developers. The Ring telephone is one of the principal examples. I hope that all of you listening will want to join our chamber, not already members. We are now holding a webinar every month, some months several, and we look forward soon to going to live events again, as we have been doing. We typically have one event every month in Kiev and occasional stepping that up when the virus struck. So with that, I will leave it to Maria to coordinate to carry this forward. Have a great webinar. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Thomas, for your introduction. So with a big pleasure, I will present Dmytro Ovcharenko, who is the moderator of this panel. He is Vice President on Financial and Legal Issues at IT Ukraine Association. And I want to thank Wirex, a global leader in hybrid finance, the first payment platform to seamlessly integrate digital and traditional currencies and to support multi-currency accounts, currency transfers, and exchange services for cooperation in organizing this event. As Mr. Thomas mentioned, the second panel is called How to Take the UK and Ukrainian IT Industry Forward, FinTech and Related Areas for Cooperation. So please, Dmitry, present speakers and enjoy the discussion, everybody.
Yes, hi everyone. Thank you very much for having me today as a moderator. It's really interesting panel, I think, when it's here both product and IT service providers, right? And I think our guests, it's like 40 people here I can see. I think they're interested, in learning how the pandemic actually affect the informational technology industry in the UK in general, the British financial sector, right, and other related areas. I think if we can, as an outcome, right, have like top 3 challenges, right, and on the one hand, and on the other hand, top 3 opportunities, because every crisis it's opportunities as well, right? So it will be wonderful, I think. And we have 1 hour and 30 minutes today, and let's get started. The first speaker, it's Ruslan Kolodyazhnyi, CTO at Wirex company. Ruslan, please.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Ruslan. I'm a CTO of Wirex. We are developing working with a product that helps customers to join both virtual and traditional assets and use them everywhere in the world. And it was kind of really hard work for us to develop such kind of enhanced and technically wise worldwide product, and moreover, it's developed in Ukraine by Ukrainian developers. And looking back, I have to say that it's one of the most technically advanced product on the fintech market. And we did a really good job because we have an ability to operate in more than 130 countries, and we have a wide range of features which are related to cryptocurrency and fiat currency, and more than 3 million customers, and so on and so forth. So overall, great job done. And moving forward, we see us as a really good player on the market. And this crisis and this new environment that happened really fast only gives us more and more strengths, what I can say from what we see right now. If to look back on the beginning of the year when everything happened, I can say that we maybe one of the first company that switched in a remote way of working, just like in a 1 hour. So basically, the decision made, and in the next hour, everyone went remote. And this kind of was the biggest challenge for us. There is no kind of 1, 2, 3, 5 range, but maybe as for all other companies, we kind of made really good decision, and we are aligned with that right now. And moving forward after the coronavirus, we see only opportunities. Opportunities in a way how we operating with customers, how we are going to move forward with engaging and driving community together with our valuable customers around the world, because world changed, customers' request changed as well, and we were, as no one another, prepared to that, because kind of fintech has this kind of remote or digital, 100% digital way of operating in the core, as we launched many years ago without visibility to interact with money without any human sign. And right now it's a 100% valuable thing for our product and for all other products on this field. So that's one of major opportunities to work with customers. The second opportunity is work with people. How we are going to move forward in engaging our developers, engaging our people who work with Wirex products, and make these products better and much valuable for customers. And maybe we one of first companies that went to and made like a decision, the final decision, how we will operate, how we will work with people in further years, even after COVID stuff. We'll go 100%, like not 100, but like 80% remote, and implement semi-remote way of interaction between people, working with trust, working with still providing result, but right now giving more freedom in creating decisions and in moving forward to make things better, not only in product, but as well in a community around each person. And as well, having this meeting, we making a contribution to community, and we making community engaged and engaging everyone to move forward in the trends that we are setting up. And that's the second major opportunity that I see. And going forward in that point, we have to say, I have to say that it's a kind of temporary stuff. Coronavirus disease. It's thing that will be finished one way or another. We already know that some countries are starting their vaccinating schemes and so on and so forth. But moreover, what maybe the major opportunity, which is not related to business or to any other kind of business stuff, is that this coronavirus, this crisis, managed to teach us how to value what we have, but not that we want to have. And that may be the biggest opportunity in everything that we will see next, that people will be thankful for the connection with people, thankful for activities, thankful for things that you are doing for them, and thankful for they have already did in their lives and contributed in relations and so on and so forth.
Okay, Ruslan, thank you very much. I basically have two questions, if you don't mind. The first one is from the UK perspective, how the pandemic actually affecting onboarding of fintech solutions by corporate and residential clients in the UK. I mean, are there any changes in the demand for fintech solutions in the UK?
Do you want me to continue?
Yes, this is my question actually
okay.
to you, Ruslan, if you don't mind.
Yeah, okay. So for the fintech solutions, so as I said, nothing changed actually, because fintech companies jumped into the scene as a 100% digital guys without any human interaction. And that's kind of the main value that gave fintech companies to become like unicorns in a speed of light in this period. You may notice that a lot of companies made an IPO, and you may notice that a lot of companies like Telecom or Zoom, which we are using right now, reported a huge money benefits. But as well, just to explore, we can see that all true fintech companies, reported at the first glance they were like afraid of overall situation, and our company is not an exception with that. But then we just got that everyone using our products, and everyone start use fintech product just due to the ability to work with everything in digital way. And moving forward from that point, between Ukraine and UK or between any country, the fintech will grow significantly, and even due to our new loans that we see in discussion or are going to be accepted pretty much soon, even the loan that relates to crypto assets and cryptocurrencies that just passed the first hearing, and we are welcoming these changes and our partners in UK as well.
Thanks, Gareth. Sounds really optimistic. Thank you very much. One more question, if you don't mind. On the other hand, what is the power of Ukrainian IT, right? I mean, what technologies can be created here in Ukraine, and how everyone can benefit from that?
Recently, my personal opinion that recently a lot of people, and which I communicating with, they started to notice that Ukraine that specifically Ukraine became the first, maybe the main the main force in Europe and in the world that supplies fintech solutions. Because we can see on the market, for example, Wirex product, for example, another Revolut product, for example, other fintech products, they all have kind of roots from Ukraine. Because Ukraine, as we had in 100 million discussions, Ukraine has really strong technical background. But right now, I think that right now we have a time that Ukraine steps forward from service model to the model of having, on the one hand, really exceptional cases when Ukrainian teams not only servicing but funding the technical part of worldwide product, and specifically in fintech. And on the other hand, Ukrainian teams starting and developing in different countries really innovative products in fintech and became famous and taking benefits from the worldwide market. So just to have a glance on that from the high level, we see that more and more products will have success on the IT market, even due to coronavirus stuff. More and more products will be seen as a 100% done and started in Ukraine, and even with ability to start product in Ukraine just for Ukrainian market, and with ability to see Ukrainian market as a sandbox, and then considering expanding IT products and fintech products to European market and other things. The one exceptional case for that, and maybe not exceptional, but really good factor for that, is that more and more rules around the world and even in Ukraine become good, and they become easy for fintech companies to build products and distribute them around the world. Even Ukrainian government, not the government, but National Bank of Ukraine recently released the note which declares an ability for companies and banks, specifically for banks, provide a remote identification to open bank accounts. And in our history, when Europe already has that, like for 5 years maybe, or even more, we are starting the connection of Ukrainian law and European law, and in the final case, I think, and pretty much sure, in 2021 we will have full operatable sandbox from the National Bank of Ukraine, and really good area to on the fintech market, on the finance market, where Ukrainian companies can launch different products, can try different solutions, even such cases that we didn't recognize it on European market, and then expand the solutions to different markets of Europe or Asia, or even like in North America.
Thank you very much, Ruslan. And now I want to invite to our discussion our next speaker, Professor Michael Mainelli, co-founder at Z and Yen Group.
Well, thank you very much,
Michael, please.
Dmitry, and thank you too, Ruslan, for those really good comments. And My apologies for being a teensy bit late. We had an overrun in our common council and things. I'd just like to make a few points. I think when we had this similar event a couple of years ago, looking at it, I was frankly a little bit skeptical. I was impressed with what I saw, but a little bit skeptical about the depth of it. Oddly, in a year that hasn't been particularly good for a lot of us, personally, I think the state of Ukrainian and UK IT has a much better environment than it had 2 years ago. And for some fairly obvious reasons, which are normally seen as negative, Brexit and COVID. And I'll just elaborate a little bit to get the discussion going. The first bit on COVID, Dmytro, you asked a question, has it changed the nature of the landscape here? And I think Ruslan's right that it hasn't transformed it in a way, but one of the interesting facts is that 6 million British adults, so 10% of the population, have downloaded a banking app for their very first time. So the market has gargantuanly increased. And this is often not noticed, but this drives FinTech. If people aren't downloading the apps, there is no FinTech. And I think this is a really positive notion of the market. I think the second thing, which is particularly difficult about COVID, has been that it has really hollowed out the physical city of London. And in fact, my firm, Zien, runs the Global Financial Centers Index, amongst other indices. And when we remarked on the fact that London was doing quite well, we were also, though, looking at the city of London being particularly empty. I live, the city of London is about 300 yards from my doorstep here, and it is completely empty. We've just opened from lockdown, and I went through the city yesterday, and guess what? It's still empty. And the reason for that is that it's a largely commuter-intensive city, and the commuters aren't coming in, and this, of course, has grotesquely affected the retail shops. So it looks like a disaster, but London went up in our index. And my point there is, while the geographic city of London has had a torrid 2020, the southeast of England financial services cluster is booming. And I think this changes the nature of what we define to be a financial center. And this is, in my opinion, potentially to the benefit in FinTech of Ukrainian IT relations, because it means that those borders are more porous. People are getting used to contracting and dealing with other people whom they haven't met. I personally have got a staff member. I gave him his appraisal yesterday, his half-yearly appraisal. I've never physically met him. And I think that's the change. So if I can work with somebody like that, who's works about 200 miles from me, what's the difference between doing that and working in the Ukraine? And so I think we could see some more bleed in this area as working practices change. In particular, one of the things we note in the City of London Corporation has been on a spectrum. The technology firms have left the city and are quite happily running using Slack and other tools that they're used to. The financial services firms, 82% of the leaders we survey, forget what the workers think, the leaders expect more working from home next year, despite vaccines. And then we have the professional services firms, and they're having it a little bit harder. They would like a physical office. And then I might just move on to moves here in the UK. Our much vaunted regulatory sandbox is now being accompanied by a digital sandbox, which I think is a plus point again for experimentation. The recognition that FinTech in the United Kingdom is 49% of the founders are non-UK nationals, 42% of the workers are non-UK nationals. And of that 42% of the workers, well, sorry, it was basically 28% were EU nationals and 14% were non-EU nationals. This now puts the Ukraine on par with the other 2/3 of the overseas workers. This, of course, in turn means we anticipate a much smoother visa regime. The one bright light in the Brexit discussions, I'm not a fan of Brexit, has nevertheless been increasing recognition from the Home Office that they need to have a very, very fast and efficient visa service that's open to all. And I think this may not lead to Ukrainians living in the UK. There's a certain national problem there, but it probably means to a lot more interaction and being much easier to do that and putting the Ukraine on a par effectively, bureaucratically, with other EU countries. So those are some thoughts. So thank you, Dmitry.
Thank you very much, Michael. I want to ask, thank you. Very interesting points. I mean, how Brexit, because yes, usually it's kind of like, usually we perceive like a negative, right, effect of Brexit to business, but you just highlighted some positive moments, and it sounds good. My question is connected to Brexit as well. So how, and if you think Brexit influencing consumption patterns of UK companies for IT services? I mean, are there any specific opportunities for Ukrainian IT providers in this regard connected to Brexit?
Yeah, at the moment, Dmitry, I couldn't comment on that authoritatively. I haven't yet seen any real changes that I think you could base it on. But I would point out some interesting concepts have been coming out on themes like data gravity. I don't know if the audience is familiar with this term. Data gravity was coined 10 years ago in 2010 by a GE engineer who pointed out that for a whole variety of reasons, people were overlooking the fact that data centers drove locations of workloads. And so what happens is if you get a pile of data together, there are a lot of considerations as to where you want that located. And these days, as we're using more machine learning or AI techniques, the data piles that we're relying on are getting larger and larger. So data accretes more data, and it becomes a wee bit like those old science pictures of black holes. As you get a data pile there, and part of the reason you want to be close to the data pile is you want the data pile to be close to the customers. On the other hand, you want it to be cheap, so you've got some tensions there. But in turn, you're trying to reduce latency. So you've got this very complicated issue of bandwidth, latency, and size of the data, which is driving locations. And I think that there's going to be a lot of changes in the UK based on that, because that in turn raises a whole number of data sovereignty rules. And those data sovereignty rules are in turn forcing a lot of financial firms to think far more seriously about the location of their IT centers. And I think there's a lot of fluctuation due. And so whilst I can't be specific and say Ukrainian firms ought to go into this sector or that sector or the other sector, I can say we're starting to see a lot of changes where there's going to be opportunistic times when you can go in and grab a slice of a market.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you. We are talking about FinTech as well, right? And I want to invite the next speaker, Antonina Skrypnyk, head of FinTech lab at company SoftServe. Antonina, please.
Hello, everyone. Hello, gentlemen and ladies. I would like to, I actually plan to share the slide deck about the highlights of financial services at SoftServe and in general about the company. And let me share the screen just for a second. That would be a short one. You would not, at least you will have something stick in front of your eyes. That would be better to engage a little bit everyone who is at the call now. I'm very grateful. We still have like a few dozens of people here, and this is like a wonderful result, saying that this literally is a good thing, a good topic, an interesting one. So people are not dropping. So yeah, hello everyone again. I'm Antonina Skrypnyk. I am the head of Financial Services Lab and a client partner for EMEA region at SoftServe. I cover business of our financial services domain clients in Europe and in UK. Now we have to split, soon we will have to split these two dimensions when mentioning it, right? So I would like to like very high level, high level highlights, sorry for the tautology about the company. SoftServe is one of the biggest outsourcers in Ukraine, one of two, the biggest outsourcers originating from Ukraine. They are and privately held, 26 years at the market. We are organically growing pretty fast throughout 26 years at the market, and we are 9,000 people at the moment and going up and up this with the same trend, having a lot of projects, having the organic only growth, now not with the mergers and acquisitions. And what we are very proud of is that in the DNA of our company is like not only the technology, because we were established and our founders actually were the PhDs from the university, right? The group of friends who are still owning the company at the moment. What we are also proud of is our NPS. What is that? This is the Net Promoter Score. This is the score that is independently measured in the world by third-party organizations on a quarterly basis. And what does that mean? That means that your clients are, it shows how much your clients are eager to recommend you to the other, like their friends and their community, right, and their network. So we have one of the top parameter in the industry and in the world. Like, for example, Apple has something around like 30 or something, and we have 75. Yeah, this is like what this is the basis and the core of our business model: the client success and the delivery excellence throughout the whole journey with the client. We are a global company. This is like not going into the very details. What we are very focused here today this is the UK market, right? So we cover, of course, North America. This is where we're growing from the day that we have been founded more than a quarter of the century ago. And we also have the Singapore office now very actively growing, and the Middle East. So we have a lot of locations and a lot of development centers in Ukraine, and we also have a few in Poland and Bulgaria, also having people on site in North America, development offices, and also in UK, in Wrocław, in Berlin, in Oslo, in Stockholm, Amsterdam, and other locations. So Nordic and UK also covered specifically with on-site people. But if to talk about the technical capabilities, we cover the whole, I mean, we are a huge organization. We cover the whole bunch of services and also the whole bunch of the technologies in these like service families: the experience design, intelligent enterprise, cloud and DevOps, Internet of Things, big data, and all around that. So we have 9 centers of excellence that are developing their expertise specifically in these directions. But what to be talking about, today we are focusing on our talk on the financial market, right? So financial services is one of the 5 pillars that we actually have inside at SoftServe. So this is one of the 5 verticals of business that we have in our organization. It is pretty a young one, I would say, as originally SoftServe has been working, like one of the first clients was General Electric, then it was like Cisco, I mean, IBM, a lot of other different clients, like 26 years at the market. This is pretty long period of time, you know. But originally we were focusing on the retail and healthcare. We have very strong expertise in here. But now also we have added the financial services in the energy, oil and gas industry. And financial services vertical is like almost 5 years, I would say, already with SoftServe. How does the financial services business look like? What is our focus areas? The main of it for this year would be actually UK and Europe. So we cover North America, definitely. We cover DACH region in Europe, but specifically UK would be our focus market. This is like the target audience for us for 2021. We have, for us, I mean, as a huge company that is focusing in this market, we have distinguished a few focus like directions that we think are the most not like valuable, but most fruitful from the perspective of for Ukrainian markets to develop solutions for. And this is all around the big data, AI, ML, advanced analytics, forecasting, personalization, and personification of the offers for the credit organization, I would say financial services organizations, for brokerages, credit unions, retail banking, enterprise business also included in here, like investment banking, right? So, and of course, definitely cloud and integration, because I mean, this is the base, this is the hygienical minimum, I would say, the basis of any business now, to be scalable, to be flexible, and to be able to integrate with the different type of third-party solutions. So cloud and integration is also one of our focuses. Yeah, we have a whole bunch of the customers around the world, and we have them both in the enterprise business and in the smaller ISVs and fintechs, product companies. And of course, we have the whole line of the partners whom we are supporting. But what I would like to mention is that we are not the resellers of any of those partners or technologies, even talking about the cloud. So we are premium partners of Microsoft, but Premier, and at the same time, like golden partners of Google, AWS, and everything, but we are not resellers. So we do not have and it is relevant to any type of the technology. And this is one of the benefits, what I would like actually to say, that Ukrainian market and Ukrainian companies can bring to UK market clients, is that we are agnostic to the technology. We are agnostic to the partners, right? Because we are not resellers, and we are interested into building the solutions for the UK market originating business, with no specific like interest in some specific technology or the partner technology, right? So in this case, we can be objective and suggest the best offer fitting the specific needs of the client of the UK market, right? So this is one of the advantages that we all companies in Ukraine who provide software development services and product development services has an advantage. So this is like this is all for the presentation. I promise that would be pretty short. What would be the questions that you may have for me? We have a lot of people in here, and you, Dmytro, maybe you would like to hear something specific about SoftServe and UK market.
Yes, yes, Antonina, thank you very much for slides. Yes, it's definitely more informative, yes, to see some figures. Thank you for a company presentation. We are talking today about changes, right? Changes in FinTech and in the UK IT market in general. Can you tell us more about new cooperations model, maybe introduced by SoftServe in this time?
Yeah, so like if talking about the cooperation and the way how to work with the clients from UK market, I would say that it depends what is the type of the client. So I would like to, and this is a pretty important thing. So if it is a huge enterprise, they have, you should have some specific approach to them. This is the way some specific way of doing business with them, specific way of communication. You have to be ready to go through a pretty long and painful, like with bloody tears, process of procurement with them, for example, to be onboarded as a vendor, right? And are you ready for that as a company? So at the same time, on the other part of this, like stick, I would say, is maybe a FinTech company, a young, flexible, very changing and very speedy company who requires a very quick response from you, who requires the bigger part of the ownership from you as a strategic partner for them, literally, to support them on their development path. So in this case, as UK is tremendously, like, rapidly grabbing the leadership in FinTech market. So the more and more players are turning their focus onto working with the FinTech companies in UK. So for this case, you need to have more flexible business models, revenue sharing, maybe some deferred payments, or the cooperation with the investors, also to be on board to request at least the information about the rounds that the startup is planning to raise, right? Or to have to be able to do the due diligence of this startup, right? Or the FinTech company, depends, because like what is the name, how you define the meaning of the startup, right? We can have the company can say that they are a startup, but be already a multi-billion company, right? So they are still a startup, So we have to be very careful with this wording. So for each and every of these different types of the companies and the stages at which this company is, there can be a specific business model for you and them. I would like to say that we focus more on the work with the enterprise clients, so mature fintech companies, I would say, like this way. So early stage startups and fintech companies are less interest for us for a whole bunch of the reasons. And one of the main of them is that they require the specific peculiar approach from you as an outsourcing partner. So, and what I would like to say that in Ukraine, what is the value that Ukrainian outsourcing companies can provide to UK is that our mentality, our mindset is very entrepreneurial-like. And this is like what we can bring the advantage to the UK fintech companies is that our people are of a very high technical skill set, but at the same time, they have a mindset of the entrepreneurs and very high flexibility of the mind to be able to navigate through the changing environment of the market that the startup companies operating at, and at the same time bring the technology expertise for those companies. So like as we see, I would say that no matter what is the size of the company that you as a UK client would like to start working with as an outsourcing partner, is it a huge company like SoftServe, or is it a smaller company that we have like a few thousands of them in Ukrainian outsourcing market, right? So you will, in both cases, you will have the proper support. So this is up to you to choose, depending on what is the business culture of your company. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Antonina. It's really interesting. I want to invite the next speaker. And before that, it's really good idea from Antonina to invite all our 34 participants. Guys, if you have any questions to our speakers today, I think it's a nice moment to write in the chat, for example, and after the next speaker will have an opportunity to ask this question and to hear the answers. Okay, and the next speaker is Nikita Abelmasov, head of business analysis at Computools company. Nikita, please.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Give me 1 second. I'll share screen and move to a presentation too. Just a second. Yeah, so hi everyone again. It's a big pleasure to meet everyone here today. And right now, I would like to say to you something more interesting about the future that will cover every one of you. And so let's move on. So according to digital assets worth during the last decade, we can say that, for example, Bitcoin was about $1 in 2011. And since then, for today, we can see that it's around 19K. And as everyone know, during the COVID, digital presence and assumptions to assets to crypto, fiat, and stocks are much bigger, since people sitting out there, sitting at homes, they need to do something. So it covers not only financial, but all the spheres rapidly. All stuff moves to remote, and everything is more and more digitalized. Regarding to financial, so we can see here, according to Bitcoin, it's true not only for Bitcoin. For all the rest digital assets, it's true again that right now, every people just getting more and more invited and involved in that. So just for a short period, we can say that PayPal as a big whale moves to allow Bitcoin and crypto spending the same way and with the same easiness as credit cards. So in just short years, we will see widespread of digital assets with ease, with the same ease as with credit cards, the same as Visa and MasterCard did years ago for the cash. Over here, we'll also know that it's a very tight tension between cryptos and other related financial stuff moving nowadays, and we need to adapt onto that. We need to move on forward. We need to catch over on this question. So I would say that ambitions and rapid changes closer than ever before. So 2020 is indeed a very crazy and ambitious year according to that. Right now, we can say that standalone applications widespreading highly in banking. So many of banks adding features like trading with stocks, like trading with cryptos. Also everywhere right now, startups situated providing features to share cryptos, to earn crypto for some actions and so on. So what we will see during the nearest years, there will be much more abilities in financials like crypto deposits, like crypto loans, like fiat currencies that would be combined with crypto assets. We would see a cross-trading features. It will all be out there widespread during the next few years. And right now, it's not yet covered markets. So people are just getting in use. So it's already huge, but not yet covered. It's nice time to move on. So as I said before, the next and the future things that will be is ability to pay with crypto as simple as with traditional credit cards. Also, probably some companies like PayPal would add ability to pay with crypto just with NFC, with the same ease as right now you can do with your phone. Also, on affecting financials, it's more and more decentralized stuff appearing out there. So right now, for example, on Ethereum, you can make wonderful things to do the math with the power of some miners, not having an actual supercomputer on your own. And this also will be widespread. Some features to consider according to your financial startups is token-based cashback. For example, we can make some kind of rating-related system and other stuff, and it will be widespread and more right now and during the next decade. Also, from another case, we will see a combination of features added out there. So for some startups and for some decentralized apps, as I mentioned before about crypto loans, banks will widespread will add an ability to make crypto deposit and crypto credit with the same ease as it's right now with cash. It's just a matter of some laws, and China is moving this way the fastest. Also, I assume in Great Britain there will be same changes. It's just a matter of time. And right now, some companies already developing quite similar solutions. Also, it's all about connections. So banks will be more connected to exchanges in order to have some cash. It's more or less not like with the big countries, not like with some governments. It's just around the world with connection to some institutes like Binance or Coinbase that could be done even for some kind of local bank, just the matter of local laws. Also, right now, we will face features like crypto donations during few next years. For example, if you're familiar with Patreon or any kind of donation services, there will be, and already in some products, crypto donation features. Some startups already launched and already functioning well with funds sending with automated conversion. So, for example, imagine you will send Bitcoin to another person, and Bitcoin will be converted with your local fiat currency, and in the end, for some person at the other point of the world, it will be converted from Bitcoin to a local currency and as easy available for an end-time person as just any kind of fiat currency from a banking application. Thanks for attention, and have a good luck in educate. So please feel free to ask any questions regarding to our vision to future workflows of so.
Thank you very much, Nikita. Thank you very much for describing modern and situation and future of crypto assets. Very interesting. I have one general question to all the speakers. But before that, or maybe after that, if anybody has any question to our brilliant speakers today, so just grab that opportunity. So my question is, in the first panel today, was invited Alexander Barnyakov, which is our Deputy Minister at Ministry of Digital Transformation in Ukraine, right? And I think, unfortunately, so I had an opportunity to join, and I just didn't know, but I suppose there were a few words about some new legislation in Ukraine, right, connected to IT. Have you had a chance to learn about, some future changes in Ukraine, and what is your personal opinion about that, and maybe some thoughts about how Ukrainian and the UK community, IT community together should and can influence on that? So please, anybody.
I can take a lead on that. So we actively looking on the changes that Ukrainian government is trying to implement in IT market. And first of all, we are talking about DSCT project and laws around this initiative. And from the glance of Ukrainian UK relations, it's a huge relief for UK companies and companies that work with Ukraine, that specifically in IT sphere, that we will together reduce a huge pack of risks that are related to IT industry. And as according to these laws, we are going to have a fair area, a fair registry of IT companies, which will have all abilities to work in a new legal area with implementation of latest trends in human force relations, for example, gig economy, and ability to work as a people on projects and remote relations and so on and so forth, as well with a stronger security from government, from the unfair plays from another government forces, or additional laws and additional legal rules. There were rumors about implementation UK legislation rules, but it's kind of a long story, I think, my opinion. And this project emerged as a topic not only because the government wanted to do something with IT community, but mostly because of the active interaction of IT community and work all together to drive this and move forward for benefits all parties. And looking on the relations between UK and Ukraine in IT and in government spheres, we may take a lot of specifically in legal and in a way of how UK managed to work with IT and how UK managed to support specifically young IT companies and even companies that managed to grow in a big businesses. One of the points is kind of tax relief on the R&D cases, and that's the experience which Ukraine should take and implement if we want to be much more progressive. As we discussed it to UK and London, this is one of leading places in the world to develop fintech companies and to develop technology. And what the only thing that we should do in a further successful implementation of new Ukraine laws, specifically DSITA, it's maybe establish much closer interaction and with the UK representatives, which already our president did recently, not only for IT topics specifically, but even having this meeting, we are expanding the communication. We're expanding the integration and maybe IT community or community of fintech from UK as well. After that, on this meeting or after this meeting, we will bring more support and more pressure on the establishment of fair legislative rules for IT area, for fintech area in Ukraine.
Yes, thank you, Ruslan, very much for sharing your thoughts. Yeah, it sounds really optimistic. So I think that nowadays our legislation is good, but anyway, there is an area for growth, right? So we can be even better. Nikita, I think you have thoughts as well.
Yeah, I would like to also answer this question. According to the main points and differences in laws in UK and in Ukraine, it's very crucial to mention that nowadays in Ukraine is very democratic and very optimistic laws. So we have much lower taxes for a specific IT industry. So if you will have some big count of employees working for you in Ukraine, it's all about the cost, since we have now here VAT like in US, for example, and I assume all kind of financial spendings in UK for having an employees with a decent payments is much nowadays harder than in Ukraine, as a most crucial one point.
Thank you very much, Nikita. Okay, so and the next question, I want to give a word to Michael. Yeah, and I think you have a question to Nikita, right?
Yes, Nikita, I was interested in your presentation about crypto assets and things, but you noted in your presentation that shared trading costs are, zero. In fact, there's even some discussion of possibly going negative, being paid to trade in the US at some of the larger asset managers. I doubt that will happen, but it's interesting. But I just looked it up. Bitcoin costs over $7 per transaction today. And I mean, how is that therefore going to work with credit cards? I don't see myself spending $7 on the transaction costs on a credit card.
Yeah, so from my opinion, I could say that Bitcoin is the popular one, but the most efficient ones for real financial transactions is not Bitcoin, but other cryptos. So right now, market is not yet fully covered people are just intending and getting more and more and more. And if we could say that, for example, in Ethereum and in some other currencies, they're very, 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 very small commission. And for some currencies, it's even indeed zero. And according to their white papers and statements, whole network works from another stuff, not like from commissions over transactions. So it's more or less like in fiat, based on beliefs of the people, but it's not only about Bitcoin. So right now PayPal moves to Bitcoin since Bitcoin is the first one and the most popular, but Bitcoin definitely not the one technically most advanced right now, right away. So at my opinion, it's Ethereum, and most of the tokens are based on Ethereum. And we could say that, for example, Bitcoin is more or less priced indeed on the people beliefs, while with Ethereum, you can make any kind of real world calculation, having no supercomputer, spending some Ethereum. So it gives a real world stuff to exist, not like Bitcoin based more on beliefs.
Is that true though? I mean, Ethereum costs over $3 a transaction, so it's not that much cheaper. Bitcoin is half the market capitalization of the cryptos. The other half is comprised of thousands of coins, many of which are looking at actions against them by the SEC. So I can see investors sticking to Bitcoin thinking it's crypto in its entirety, but it is half of it anyway. So that's pretty good diversification. And then just sitting on it. Why would they want to go wading in with all of these other ones? And they're not necessarily cheaper. And I don't think Ethereum is the answer, given transaction costs over $3. I would have asked the same question if Bitcoin had been $3.
Yeah, so I can say that you're completely right on this point, but it's not only about Ethereum. We have USDT, for example, which is fully stuck to dollar price, and USDT statement is saying that it will remain the same. And we have other cryptocurrencies which are designed by their code, their shared network, and so on, to be an actual financial instrument for each day. So it's not stick to Ethereum. It's only about new era that is coming, and it's only the beginning.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. And we have still room for some other questions, if any. Okay, so let me just to sum up a little bit. I think it was really an interesting discussion today, and thank you very much to our speakers about and their thoughts about the situation in the UK and Ukraine. And I'm just noted a few facts. So I do not want to focus on challenges. I think everybody knows about what challenges connected all this, to pandemic, right? To coming financial crisis, etc. Let's focus on some positive moments as opportunities. Yes, I just noted that like 10% of people, it was Michael's actually presentation, just downloaded more and more apps, right? And use more edition in London. If you want to get to some event, like let's say sport event, see it, they typically come to some sale points and to buy it. And now it's different, right? So because of this situation, there are more and more opportunities, and according to our speakers, the industry is growing, right? The other point is that about people, right? About management people. I know that a lot of CEOs of company, like at UK companies, they believed they wanted to have people like sitting next to me, and it doesn't matter. Are people sitting in London or like in a neighborhood to London, right? Or in Kiev, for example. This is another huge opportunity, I think, between our two countries. Yes, so this is from me. Nikita, please, you want to add some
Yes,
words?
so in addition of very wise points by Dmitry, we can say that nowadays Microsoft applied full-time forever remote for their employees, and lots of AAA companies already checked over and ensure that on remote, at least for IT companies, average performance up for that summary that even the most bureaucratical companies decided to allow forever remote even after COVID will end. So.
Right, right. So, and so my stay positive. I think the next year, maybe or two, will be still hard, but anyway, IT industry is growing and more opportunities are coming. Thank you very much for joining and listening to us, and looking forward to next meetings.